you're looking at here might seem like a Viking sword, but the truth is far more interesting, because this isn't just any reproduction. This sword has a history of its own, and I love this sword. I bought this sword second hand from the mighty Tyrkir Thorkelsson, and it's a piece that's been around for over 30 years. It's not something that is sat on a wall collecting dust. This sword has been used for many battles. It has seen combat in reenactment, been swung, been struck and carried, and that alone already separates it from most decorative swords and pieces. And it's also a Paul Binns blade. Now that matters because Paul Binns is known for making high quality functional swords, whether they're blunt for combat or sharp. These aren't just display items, they're built to be used, to be moved properly in the hand and to behave like a real weapon should. And you truly feel that the moment you pick it up. It's light, very light, compared to the heavier swords that I own. That tells you something straight away. This isn't a clumsy, overbuilt piece. It is designed with movement in mind, speed, control, recovery, the kind of thing you'd actually want in your hand in a fight. Now at first glance, it gives off the Viking or Norse impression. You've got the short cross guard, the compact grip, and that strong pommel shape. It almost pulls you into thinking Danish, maybe something Scandinavian in origin, but when you start analysing it properly, you begin to see what it really is. So let's start with the pommel. It's riveted on, so the tang is riveted over, which is a good sign in the terms of construction. That's how historical swords were secured, with the tang pinned over the pommel. That's a very good sign. But the shape itself is more sterilised than what you'd find in the true Viking Age classification on the system, like the Peterson typology of sword. It doesn't match a known type. It's more of a interpretation, something inspired by history rather than directly taken from it. Then you move down to the fittings. You've got brass at the top and the bottom of the grip, and what looks like two figureheads worked into the design of the top shape and the bottom shape on the sheath. Now these could be interpreted as figures like Odin or Thor, but they're more symbolic rather than being historically accurate. Depictions of Viking Age swords didn't usually carry that kind of literal imagery in this form. What you're seeing here is a modern craftsman's nod to the Norse mythology. It's storytelling through design. The handle itself is oak, which is a solid, practical choice. Strong, durable, and fitting for something that's meant to be used. And you've got those brass fittings acting almost like a boundary. What you describe as mountings on the frame of the sword. Its structure, it's simple, but it's effective. And there is also the sheath, and this is important distinction. This is more of a leather sheath than a strict historical scabbard, because scabbards are solid. This is flexible. It's roll made. It holds the blade very securely and it suits reenactment use. It also has a brass mounting on the inside, so you get that metal sounding when you put it in. But again, it reflects modern construction rather than early medieval techniques. So now when you take a step back and you look at the whole piece, sometimes it becomes very clear. This is not a Viking sword. It is a Viking-inspired combat-used blade. Functional, reproduction, made on a respected modern maker, passed through reenactment hands, and it is shaped by the use over decades, and in some ways that gives it the different kind of authenticity, because while it hasn't come out of the ground, like in archaeological find. After 1,000 years it's been in the field, it's been swung but untested and experienced in a way many decorative pieces will never be. And that's the lightness you feel, that's the balance of the blade, that's the responsiveness, that's where the real value is, not just in how it looks but in how it moves, how it feels, how it reacts. So when you hold a sword like this, you're not just holding history itself, you're holding a bridge to the past, and that is truly amazing. Something built in the modern world but designed to echo the past. And tested, oh boy has this been tested, in a way that keeps the past alive, and sometimes that tells a story just as much as the real thing could. So what do you think of this sword? Is this a sword that you would own? I love this blade. I've used it many a time in battle, but it does feel light in my hand, and you can tell it's used because it's got a slight rattle from overuse. It's nice, it's got a lovely feeling, it's got a very thin blade compared to some of the wider blades I own, and again it's got a fuller, it goes mostly down to the bottom of the tip of the blade. Of course it's a combat blade, so it's blunt for a reason, because we like to use this to hit Saxons, and as a Saxon to beat up Normans. You can tell over the years that it's been touched with fingers, there's a few finger marks, it needs a little bit of treatment here to de-rust and just to bring back the shininess of it and just to give it a treatment, for it's not been oiled in a long time. That's one of the problems when you own 20 plus swords. It takes a while to manage them and to look after, and it's such a nice blade, it really is. Now the blade thickness itself is probably only 2mm on the edge and about 3mm maybe on the actual blade. You can also tell it's very, very straight. Now the crossguard, it's had a beating over the years. There's marks from other swords when a sword lands and hits. It also has a bit of a ring. So it also demonstrates that it's been well heated and treated in the heating of it. So fantastic blade. I really love this sword. I love the scabbard it comes in as well. Like I said, on the mountings here there is a face, and I don't think it's Odin because he's got two eyes, so I think this is most probably going to be Thor. And again, the bottom shape also matches the top shape with the same sterilised pattern. These have both been bonded on and very securely bonded on. There's a seam down the middle of the sheath. Again, this is probably 30 years old. I have on a number of occasions treated the leather. And around the entrance for the sword there is a metal brass section, so that when you put it in, it doesn't wear away your scabbard, and you also have that slightly tinny metal noise when placing it back into its sheath. Again, it's a sheath, not a scabbard. I prefer a scabbard for a sword, but because it's flexible, this is a sheath. You cannot do that with a scabbard. You certainly cannot do that with a scabbard. So it's a fantastic piece of history. It's a fantastic piece of history on the channel, and Egil used to use this sword as well. Although he had his own sword, which has been buried with him, and Egil has taken his sword with the Valhalla. Whether I'll take this sword to Valhalla, I don't know, because I got this theory and plan to maybe when I'm dead donate all of my military Norse reenactment belongings to the British Museum as a representation of the history of a modern day Norse Viking reenactor, but one that's made thousands of videos on YouTube. So I think this sheath is fantastic. It's got a little bit of damage, it's got wear, it's got tear, it's been whacked about, it's been used heavily, and I just think it's awesome. And the reason why you have the bottom shape is to protect the sword at the bottom. If it was very pointy and sharp, you want to protect that. So that's not only is it protecting the sword, if you ever hit a rock or anything, or especially in the modern world when we walk about on modern roads as a reenactor, if that lands on the floor, it's not going to wear away and damage your sheath and risk damaging your sword. So what do you think? I think that's an awesome piece of equipment, and I will include some photographs at the end. Very nice. Very good, very nice. If you're new to the channel, then do subscribe. For subscribing to this channel is free. And don't forget, guys, of the Northworthy notification potential army I'm trying to raise, to share the videos and like the videos and work together, because that would really help the channel. And until we meet again, it's goodbye from me. Goodbye.